Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be featuring the ZF-6, the Tier 7 Premium German destroyer. In the past, this destroyer was definitely one of my favorites simply because of its capability to go in and find an enemy destroyer and using its reload booster just absolutely wreck it. But as time went on, there are just more ships that have better DPM, that have sonar and smoke combinations, and in the case of the black smoke and radar, the ZF-6 is definitely still a good destroyer. However, going against any of the ships that have smoke and sonar, going in and simply getting rid of them by using your reload booster is going to be much harder than it was before because now with the existence of more sonar destroyers, you have to be careful of the fights that you take. If you get caught by a destroyer in his sonar and the destroyer that you're trying to fight is unspotted and is simply farming you because you're in his sonar range, it's definitely not going to go well for you. So let's go over what the ZF-6 is. Basically, it is a destroyer that has French torpedoes and the French gimmick of a main battery reload booster, but it has German main battery guns. This is due in part to the fact too that historically the ZF-6 was originally a French destroyer that was eventually taken by Germany during World War II. The German gimmick of having increased penetration on the guns is applied to the ZF-6. The ZF-6 does have quarter penetration, which means on these 128mm guns it can pen 31mm, which you can see that I'm penning this Azuma's hull, even though the hull value is 27. The ZF-6 also has access to armor-piercing shells that do have improved penetration angles. These angles are comparable or pretty much the same as the American heavy cruisers with that super heavy AP. The penetration angle is 60 to 67.5 degrees, which means that a guaranteed ricochet will happen at 22.5 degrees. And just for reference, a normal armor-piercing shell will ricochet at 30 degrees. This Azuma has decided to just simply charge in, and since I am now out of his sonar and he is broadside, I switch to AP and use my main battery reload booster, and I was simply chunking him for quite a bit of his HP. Unfortunately, German dispersion is pretty bad, so a lot of these shells go high or go low and end up shattering on his main belt. The shells that do hit the upper belt and arm and do penetration damage is just simply doing so much. If you're able to surprise an unsuspecting cruiser on his broadside with this AP and main battery reload booster, you might be able to get him for most of his HP. If you are in a gunfight with a destroyer, don't be afraid to switch to armor piercing, because with these improved penetration angles, you will be getting full pens on destroyers more often than not, and with the reload booster, you are definitely capable of dev striking every single DD. After the Azuma went down, we start heading over to A, where there is a Conqueror division that is pretty much just sailing together in Wilter build and also in a straight line. You will see here just how devastating these torpedoes are because they are French, which means they actually do more damage than the typical German destroyer. Each torpedo does 18.4 thousand damage, and they travel at 75 knots, which is very fast for a destroyer, and that damage is very good. We keep heading south and try to find the second Conqueror, which we do, and it seems like he is slowing down. So I start aiming at the second Conqueror and trying to land torps on him. If the Conqueror in the front does start accelerating, he might just eat those torpedoes that were meant for the Conqueror in the back, and these torpedoes have a chance to hit both Conquerors. The one in the back does start slowing down, and he's going to eat 4 torpedoes from that first set, and he gets dev struck. The second set does also land on this other Conqueror, and there you see the success of dual purpose torpedoes, which is the practice of trying to have your torpedoes hit 2 targets with the same salvo. Now getting those 2 torpedo hits, I do cause a flood, so I'm going to switch to HE here and try to set fires on his ship so that he will burn for the full duration of the fire. I am counting off 15 seconds in my head because that's how long a Conqueror's damage control party lasts. And as soon as it nears 15 seconds, I do start opening up, trying to set a fire. The Conqueror does start turning away to try and run, but I'm simply going to pop my engine boost to make sure that I can keep up with him, and he is just simply not going to escape, and I'm just going to keep shooting at him until I set some fires. I set one fire in his superstructure, and I can tell that he's not using a tank build, so there's a chance that I can set one more, and then let a double fire just burn. I do smoke up because he has just shot and he will stay spotted from the smoke firing penalty. The enemy Tashkent does get spotted trying to YOLO our friendly ship there. Unfortunately, he is at the edge of our firing range and does turn away, so we won't really be able to help out our teammate. The Tashkent pretty much trades with that friendly battleship, which he basically just solidified our win. So now I can just leave my smoke and start farming this Conqueror for the rest of his HP. His fire does go out, and I'm looking at his main guns, so I am a little hesitant on starting to shoot him, especially with our friendly ships starting to push over to this flank. I will finally make the decision to start shooting him because even if I die, I don't think 2 ships will be able to kill off our divmate and 3 other ships. The Conqueror does pop his super heal and he gains back a ton of his HP because you can heal 100% of fire damage, which is what was pretty much burning on him the entire time. He does start turning full broadside to shoot his front guns, so I am trying to juke the shots with my acceleration, which I was able to do successfully for his first 2 shots. I switched to AP since he's sailing broadside because the AP on this destroyer just absolutely smacks, and you can do some pretty good chunk damage with every shell. The Conqueror is on a double fire, and I am chunking him with AP, and just with my main guns, this Conqueror has pretty much lost all that HP that he has healed back. He switches to AP and takes a salvo. I think if he was using HE, he probably would have done much more damage. And then at the very end there, our divmate Zatu shoots him when he's on, let's say, about 2 bars of HP, and then takes the kill, depriving us of our Arsonist medal, which is unfortunate, but it does happen. We do start heading to the other side of the map, to the last enemy ship, but the game will end before we can get there and really do anything. The ZF-6 is definitely still a very good destroyer. However, with the addition of all of the sonar destroyers that also have smoke, the ZF-6 is much more difficult to play than it was before. In this game, we were able to do 221,000 damage as well as 3,500 base XP, which was definitely a good performance. Like I said in my Black video, the destroyers of tier 7 now are very good at making credits, and the ZF-6 is one of those destroyers that will be able to make a lot of credits because it's good at being a destroyer, which means that it can go and hunt enemy destroyers while also doing quite a bit of damage with its torpedoes. In this game, I was using Iric Bay with a typical destroyer build with Willis Lee and Jerzy Swirsky as my inspirations. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.